Hi, I'm Ted Gross, Program Specialist for the Burnham Wildlife Corridor. Today, I'm going to teach you how to identify three of Illinois' most significant ecosystems, those being Prairie, Oak Savanna, and Woodland. I'm at the Burnham Nature Sanctuary today because uniquely, it has all three of those ecosystems right in one small space right here in Chicago. Prairie used to be a really big ecosystem. It occupied most of the Midwest, and if you were standing in it, it would usually go as far as the eye could see. Here at Burnham Nature Sanctuary, our prairie is very small, but the telltale signs are all still here. Prairie has very few trees, if any at all. It's made up mostly of tall grasses and flowering plants we call forbs. Prairie is very sunny, and if you're walking in it, you'll probably feel the heat of the sun on your neck. Animals that live in this ecosystem need to be able to handle a lot of sun. Because of all this sun, prairie often dries out, and it can burn. And in the wintertime, the plants, their tops anyway, will die altogether. To deal with this, prairie plants have really deep roots. So when the tops burn, or when winter comes, and they have to die on the top altogether, those roots will survive, and in the spring or after the burn is done, new plants will spring up from them. When prairie burns a little less and trees begin to grow, you get Oak Savanna. Oak Savanna is not as sunny as a prairie, and it's not as shady as Woodland. It's a place that sits right between the two. There are still many of the tall grasses and forbs that you would find in a prairie here, but increasingly there are tall, shady oak trees. Because it sits in between those two oak ecosystems, it's a unique place where plants and animals that could not survive in woodland but thrive in prairie can live in an oak savanna. And similarly, plants that need the shade of woodland or forest but would die in the hot sun of prairie can also live in oak savanna. It's a really diverse ecosystem. We're in our last ecosystem, woodland. Hot and sunny prairie was where tall grasses and forbs dominate. Oak savanna is where those tall grasses and forbs can live in harmony with shady oak trees. Woodland is where the trees begin to dominate. But not quite so much as a forest. It's different and distinct from even that. Woodland is very shady, and for the first time today, I feel fairly cool and refreshed. But a fair amount of light still comes down through the trees, and that's because these trees are still fairly far apart from each other. In fact, it's enough light that the ground is covered in small shrubs and leafy plants. It's also an ecosystem that often gets confused with forest, especially here around Chicago. But in fact, most of what we call forest in Chicago is actually just this. It's woodland. Next time you're out in a Chicago natural area, think about these three ecosystems and try to figure out which one you might be in. While there are many more ecosystems than just these three in Illinois, these three are some of the most typical of Chicago. They're a part of what makes Chicago natural areas feel like Chicago natural areas, and they have a really specific beauty all to their own. I hope you appreciate them as much as I do. And if you haven't been to the Burnham Nature Sanctuary, please come check it out. It's a really cool place. It's located just off of Lakeshore Drive at the intersection between Cornell Drive and East 47th Street. For more fun videos about nature in Chicago, visit the Chicago Park District website or visit the Chicago Park District YouTube.